Well, a couple of weeks ago, it was International Men's Day, November 19. But back in 2023, on International Men's Day, Paul Withall, the founder of the Zero Suicide Community Awareness Program, and a number of friends and supporters, staged a massive visual symbolic rally at Parliament House in Canberra with the placing of almost 2,500 shoes across the lawn. One for every Australian man who's taken his own life in the 12 months before.
One of these shoes is one soul, a man or a boy that took their own life last year. There's 2,455 shoes behind me. We need to acknowledge that men's suicide is not just mental health. We need to acknowledge situational distress when the three leading reasons for men's ideation is family relationship breakdown, loss of access to children, court and financial reasons. None of those are diagnosable mental health issues. And until we can recognise situational distress in men as the main cause of their suicide, nothing changes. We need a Minister for Men's Health and Welfare to start dealing with those three main reasons that men contemplate taking their own life.
I see the devastation that alienating behaviours and tools like restraining orders and false allegations, I see the impact on an extremely high scale. There's no support, and when they do reach out for support, they're often judged.
You know, we're losing like so many men in a week because they're programmed not to speak. It's important to me because I nearly lost my life twice because I was too afraid to speak. We look around and we look how many lives have been lost, you know, because men haven't been able to speak. They haven't felt safe, and we need to make men feel safe. When we share our stories, we make it safe for other people to share theirs.
You know, how can it not be overwhelming, you know? Some of the shoes up there have got photos in them. Some of the kids are so young, you know, that's a brother, father, uncle, son, husband. It's just crazy, you know. It really hits home, and something needs to be done, you know. It's been like this for a long time, these numbers.
Now, look, it's a difficult conversation, but we've got to have it. And if you're feeling in any way like you need any kind of support at all right now for any reason, just Google Beyond Blue, or Lifeline, and reach out immediately, because there is help. No matter what, there is help, there is a way. You will look back one day and say, well, I'm glad I did that. And I realise now that I didn't need to be in that state. One of the main points, though, made at that rally just over a year ago was that a lot of men's suicide, the vast majority of it, is not a mental health issue primarily. It is for some. Some suicide, though, is, as I said, is the result of mental illness, causing a lot of pain, you know, generalised anxiety disorder or depression being so unbearable that people see the only way out is to, and get relief, is to take their lives. It is not, by the way. There are medications, there are many treatments, many ways of coping and living with pain, emotional and physical, and people have to do it every day, and they do, and they're the true heroes in our midst, that's for sure. But to speak of male suicide only as a mental health crisis is to deny something very important. As Paul said there, it is situational in the vast majority of cases, specifically caused by stress of relationship breakdown, family law injustice, alienation from children, or financial stress. And I, for one, am a little tired of hearing women and some men, although they may be well-meaning, saying that men just need to learn to, quote, get in touch with and express their emotions more. Expressing your emotions, your righteous anger at gross injustice and powerlessness and abuse and torture by a corrupted legal system is not going to help long term. Sharing the pain with others might ease the pain a bit. Having great friends and support around you might help a lot. We should never suffer alone or in silence, but we have got to get to the root problem, and fast.
We're here today to tell Aaron's story. Aaron took his own life in 2019. We've been unfairly treated by the whole legal system. We were let down as a parent, as a grandparent, even as his brothers were let down. The whole system let us down. The men need to stick together to fight for their rights. Women's groups do it a lot easier because women stick together easier. But as a mum, we need to put it in our boys' heads that they need to stick together and fight for their rights.
Men's groups cannot get funding, but women's groups can get funding very easily. That's why it's important, because we've got to stop this.
This is a serious issue. 2,455 men every year take their life. That is 2,455 men too many.
In Australia, we have ministers for Aboriginal affairs, our LGBTQI community, a minister for women. If we are all about equality, why don't we have a minister for men? At the end of the day, men's suicide has been 70% of all suicides for 40 years in Australia. You know, people have been calling for this minister for men for 40 years. I dead set, nothing's going to stop me. I feel this. This is my life blood, and I won't stop until we get a minister for men's health and welfare and situational distress is recognised as men's suicide.
That's Paul Withall, the founder of the Zero Suicide Community Awareness Program, speaking there on International Men's Day, November 19, back in 2023, amid their visual symbolic rally at Parliament House in Canberra with the placing of almost 2,500 shoes across the lawn, one soul for every soul. Joining me now, our very good friend of the show, man of deep thought and wise words, regular Other Side contributor and serious thinker, and social commentator on men's issues, Rob McMullen. Rob, thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us. Appreciate
Pleasure.
Having you here. Bit of a sad topic, but we have to address it. And I think the thing that we've noticed with the state of the criminal justice system at the moment, the state of the family law court system, the fact that we have 50 men taking their lives every week in Australia and it's just not getting the media coverage. You've got people like Bettina Arndt out there giving their all to get cover, and that just nothing happens. The big news organisations won't cover this story because they don't want to offend women. Women buy most products, most advertisers want to reach women. This isn't going to get better. Let's talk in practical terms. How do men manage this? How can men be more aware of the dangerous antisocial behaviours of some, not all, a minority, but the dangerous antisocial behaviours we see from women in these cases? What do you need to watch out for as a man?
Well, yeah, just to frame the discussion, we've talked a lot about, we do work in natural law, which is all about reciprocal cooperation, because the big picture is that men and women need each other.
Yep.
We are different but compatible. We need each other. So many issues with men and women, it's like a chicken and egg scenario. But what is worth discussing is that men and women are both people, women are people too, and as long as you're talking about human beings, there is a subset of those human beings who can express antisocial behaviours, a will to dominance over another person. The vast majority of people are great people who want great relationships, but there is that subset of both genders who do express antisocial behaviour.
Sure.
And what is worth considering, because it is very underappreciated in our society and culture and legal system, is the gender difference in when people do express antisocial behaviour. So most people don't, and we want people to have good families, good cooperation, good societies, etc. for everybody involved, but we all are very familiar with masculine antisocial behaviour.
Yes.
I say masculine and feminine, I'm not going to say men and women, because there's a bit of overlap there.
Of course, yeah. Some women are physically violent. There are some men who are emotionally manipulative.
Exactly.
But when you talk about masculine and feminine styles of behaviour, you're more talking in that sense.
Just the general archetypes, because they are generally...
and women do lean towards the less physical normally, and men lean towards the physical more.
Like any biological organism is going to make use of what's available to it primarily. And with men, because we generally on average have more physical strength, that's just one of the path of least resistance for us to express anger or dominance instinct. And luckily, our society has spent a long time suppressing masculine violence, and it should be like that because it's pretty terrible. I'm not even going to say it's equivalent to feminine antisocial behaviour, because masculine capacity for violence is extremely destructive. So it's good that we as a society suppress that. But there are feminine type antisocial behaviours that aren't as suppressed, and they are what's breaking reciprocity sometimes between men and women as well. So to give men a bit of some practical strategies, you want to be on the lookout for some of these things. That's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
So we've talked before about the feminine being more empathetic, and empathy is the ability to read the emotional state of another person and respond in kind. And so that gives rise to a phenomenon where more feminine people can tend to be empathetic amplifiers. And so one thing that's good for young men to remember is to maintain frame. Now, frame is control over your emotional state. And instead of, men kind of get baited and saying, well, you just need to express your emotions. I'm saying, well, maybe be a bit more stoic and trying to have control over your emotional state. Because the more empathetic people are going to see you more as you see yourself. And so what I'm saying is sometimes you can have the beginning of an emotional escalation. And if the man gets angry, then the woman can amplify that, and it can be the start of a bit of an arms race, and that can be the beginning of a bad incident. So,
okay, so all right, so you're saying maintain frame. This requires a little bit of stoic philosophy, stoic,
Exactly.
sort of traditional stiff upper lip British stuff, I guess.
Yep.
As opposed to the express all your emotions, the American sort of let your emotions out. We need to just let our emotions out, and we'll be better. That's not the case. So you do have to maintain a little bit of poise and resist that. But sorry, that last point that you just made there about women amplifying, just explain that for me a little bit more.
Well, sometimes they can be the
feminine amplifying
can be emotional amplifiers. If you're frustrated, they'll give it back to you 5 or 10-fold, and that can be the beginning of an escalation.
Here at The Other Side, we do not get more than $1 billion of taxpayer money like the ABC does to waste on fun stuff that we and our friends like while ignoring the public that we're supposed to serve. We have to rely on your support of this show. But I also hate asking for charity. So we've done a deal with what I think is the best VPN service in the world so that you can support this show and get excellent value for yourself in return. Private Internet Access VPN is a virtual private network. You download their app onto your phone, your TV, your computer, whatever you use, and it'll route all your data through a different server location so that you can't be tracked by the prying eyes of big government and big corporations. It keeps you and your family truly safe, and it will not massively slow down your internet speeds or make it harder to use your devices like some VPNs do. Private Internet Access, PIA VPN, is quick and easy to install, and once you've downloaded it, that's pretty much it. You can sign up using our special Other Side code for less than $3 a month. Unbelievable. That is a whopping 83% off the normal price, and you'll get the first 4 months free, and you will be helping our show a lot. So get onto it, piavpn.com/otherside to get the special deal. And get this, if you've got a Netflix account, by signing on through a server in another country to Netflix, like the US, for example, you'll get access to that country's library of Netflix shows on your account as if you were in that country, which is also great if you want Netflix in a different language or something. piavpn.com/otherside. If you like that clip, there's more where that came from in our full show, The Other Side. You can watch it right here, the latest episode. And please subscribe to our channel by pressing the subscribe button right here or down here. And remember to click that notification bell too. It all helps. Join us and become part of The Other Side.